Welcome back, everybody. In this video, our focus is going to be lesson number 44. And in lesson number 44, there are a couple of new things that we're going to need to go over. So I'll start with the new note value. So if you're looking at your book in lesson number 44, you'll notice that the time signature is common time, which is 4/4. So we have 4 counts per measure. You know, we all know that, we all understand that. And when quarter notes are subdivided, they are subdivided into eighth notes. So instead of having 4 quarter notes, you could also have 8 eighth notes, right? But if you're looking at your music, you don't have 8 eighth notes. You actually have 12. So what's going on here? Well, what you're looking at are called eighth note triplets. And these eighth note triplets are a subdivision of the quarter note. So up until this point, we knew that the quarter note could be subdivided into 2 equal parts. 1 quarter note, 2 eighth notes. That's it. But in this instance, the quarter note is being subdivided into 3 equal parts. So 1 quarter note into 3 eighth notes. All right. They're still going to be notated as eighth notes, but for us to see, but what you will encounter is a number 3 above the group of 3 eighth notes, and that is indicating to you that those eighth notes are triplets. And it's going to have an entirely different feel. So here are your eighth notes. Here's your standard eighth note subdivision of a quarter note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Your underlying counts are 4, 1, 2, and then the subdivisions are 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Pretty basic. This is going to feel different now. Now the quarter notes are going to be subdivided into 3 equal parts. In other words, those eighth note triplets, and it's going to feel something like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. The counts, you would count them as 1 and That's how you would count them verbally. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So I counted the eighth note triplet subdivision, and then I counted the standard, it's not really called standard, but the eighth note subdivision. I guess technically that's correct, right? Eighth note triplet subdivision, eighth note subdivision. So let me show you again so you can see what that feels like. Starting with the eighth note subdivision. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1. And that's the difference in feel. Okay? The underlying counts are still the same. All right? So let's go over the half notes. Okay? The half notes are going to be ringing over 6 of those eighth note triplets. It's just math again, because 3 eighth note triplets equals 1 quarter note, right? So each of those is 1 quarter note or 1 count. Half note is 2 counts, so 2 groups equals 2 counts. And then the second half is the same thing. All right, so there is your introduction to that new note value, which is the eighth note triplet. Now I want to go over with you something that's mentioned in the text right above the lesson. Well, the title of the body of text says right there, arpeggios. What you are going to be doing is playing something called arpeggios. Now, what is an arpeggio? Well, if you know how to play a chord, I'm assuming you have learned some chords just on your own between lesson 1 and lesson 44. If not, just take a couple of minutes and learn some chords just online somewhere, because that's going to be not extremely important, but it is something that you're going to need to understand. Okay, so let's say you know how to play C major. Here's C major. We haven't gone over chords yet because I'm going from the book, but this is C major. If you don't know how to play C major, look it up. Just C major guitar. Look it up. So when we play this C major, let's say we want to sing a song and we just want to strum the guitar. what we're doing is we're playing chords. I think my guitar's out of tune. Sounds a little bit out, but we're just playing a chord right now. We're strumming a chord, okay? Now, when we have the chord down, but instead of strumming, we play the notes individually, we are breaking that chord up into the notes that make up the chord. And that is what you would call an arpeggio. So instead of playing the chord like this, we play the chord like this. That is an arpeggio. We're playing all the notes in the chord, but we're playing the notes individually. The simplest way is to say, the simplest explanation is just two words: broken chord. So the chord is broken up into all of the different notes that create the chord. And you could mix up the chords however, or the notes however you want. It would still be called an arpeggio. So here's C. You know, I'm playing all of the notes in the chord, but I'm playing them separately. I can do this. What I'm playing is an arpeggio. I'm playing a C major chord, but I'm just not strumming it. Maybe that was a bit too long of an explanation, but hopefully I got the point across. So in this lesson, for each measure, you're just going to put some fingers down and keep them there. And then your right hand is going to play the notes that it tells you to play. So your left hand's not going to have to do much. So for the first measure in lesson 44, you're playing a C major. You don't need the middle finger. So you're playing C on the 5th string, and that's what the first note that's notated. And then you have an open string, 3rd string open. And then you have C on the 2nd string, and then you have your 1st string open. So this is all you need. This is all you need to have down. And then your right hand is going to just play the correct strings according to what's written in the lesson. So that first measure is going to sound like this: thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index. And then you do it again: thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index. My guitar is really out of tune. Let me take a moment to tune. Okay, my guitar's tuned. Well, it should be according to my tuner. So that first measure, you have 2 notes down. That's it. You do it again because it's written down twice. You're playing an arpeggio. The next chord, you have all open strings with the exception of your F on the 1st string. So this is all you're holding down. And then you play the pattern as written. Right? And then you do it again. In measure 3, you have a B on the 5th string. You have a G on the 1st string with your 4th finger, as notated by the number 4. Do that twice. And then you finish by playing C. And that's it. And it's going to feel, because of the note values, the new note value that we're learning, it's going to feel different. So let me play it for you first, before we play it together, so you get a feel for what that sounds like. And I'll count it so you can hear those 8th note triplets. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. That's what it would sound like. Last thing before we play it together. The ring finger, every time you play the ring finger, you have that accented, that accent mark. So you want to make sure you play the ring finger louder than your other notes. So just try and remember to play a little bit louder with your ring finger. All the other fingers just kind of back off a little bit. It shouldn't be too hard. I think you can manage that. So let's try it together on my count. 1. By the way, when I'm counting off, I'm counting the subdivisions in my head. Sometimes we'll count off without thinking about the rhythms that we're playing, and then as soon as we start, it's all messed up. So it's a good idea to look at the music. Okay, what are our smallest subdivisions? And then based on the tempo of the smallest subdivision, that's going to be your count. Because you don't want to count off and then immediately you have to play a bunch of 16th notes, and those are pretty fast. If you remember, they're really small subdivisions. And if you're counting at a tempo that's, if you're counting, just be mindful of your subdivisions and count and base your tempo off of those subdivisions is what I'm trying to say. All right, so here we go. Lesson 44. We'll do 1 and 2, and here we go. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 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 3 and 4 and stop. At the end, if you could, when you play the last note, play it as a rest stroke. I'm going to tell you why. When you play it as a rest stroke, you stop the 4th string from ringing if it happens to be ringing. And then your index, middle, and ring finger, plant them onto the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd string respectively. So that all you hear at the end is C. Let me show you. If you don't do that, you'll end up hearing this, which doesn't sound bad, honestly. It sounds okay. But according to the music, everything else has to stop except for the C. And it's really important to take the music literally. Get into the habit of doing that. That's really what I'm trying to get you to do. If it says don't play there, or if there's nothing else there, then you shouldn't hear anything else. Let's do this one more time, actually. And this time we're going to slow down as we get to the end. We're going to play a rit on measure 1, 2, 3, leading up to the last note. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and stop. So there you go. I'll see all of you in lesson 45.